This is a spontaneous video that I feel inspired to create and share with you today. Some of you already know that my older brother, passed last week, and my mother passed this week. So both of them are gone in the span of this week, and I've been receiving a lot of love and care, mostly through Facebook, which I'm not on very much anymore, but I wanted to go and share it there because I know a lot of mutual friends of ours, and also my friends and people, know about, especially my brother, who is really very, very well known in his field. And I wanted to talk to you about death, because death is not your enemy. Death is not anyone's enemy. Death is an aspect of life. It's part of the circle of our being, part of the cycles through which we live. And our culture is not very smart about death. There's a lot of religious programming that I think goes deep in people, including myself, around death, that makes us think that it's, we're going to go to heaven or hell afterwards, or we don't really know what's going to happen, but it's scary. And I think of death as a transition into the next adventure. And that's definitely how I held it for my brother and for my mother, especially for my mom, because my mom was 90. I mean, she'd been lingering for a year. It was time for her to go. My brother died on the young side. He'd had health issues over the years, and it just crescendoed and got the better of him. And I'm at peace with both of them passing. I feel sad about my brother because, like I said, he was young. He was only 66. But I'm also at peace with it because I trust that somewhere in his psyche and somewhere in his spiritual being, that he was ready to go on to another stage. And I do believe that there is another stage. I don't know what it is. I don't claim to understand that. I do get impressions, and I do get impressions from people who've passed over. I do hear and talk to people who are no longer in their physical bodies. I have talked to my mom and to my brother, both since they have left, heard messages from them. And so I have that kind of confirmation that life continues even after the physical body has gone. And that does help me be at peace. But I also think that I understand that death is inevitable and that it's coming to all of us, and that I have no control over any of that, really. I do the best that I can to be healthy and take care of myself, and do a lot of breathing and do a lot of yoga, eat good food and clean water and all of that. Absolutely, I do that. But I don't really adhere to the cult of youth that's so strong here in the United States. I know a lot of you are from outside of the United States, and I'm not sure what it's like in your environment, but there's a total cult of youth here that makes older people, especially older women like me, kind of disappear, which is kind of interesting, and where we get very, very uncomfortable with death. And one of the things that was striking to me in so many of the responses, both to my brother's death and to my mother's death, as I was expressing them, was people assuming that I was super unhappy, super broken down, that this is a terrible time, that I must be hurting so much, and all of that. Not the case. That's not my experience. I think that's happening for my brother's partner because she lived with him every day and they were partners and intertwined, and I know that she's still dealing with his passing, and so she has a different experience because they were everyday people with each other. But my brother and I haven't been in each other's lives with that kind of frequency for some time. But even aside from that, one of the things that really helps me is the connection both to the all that is, so that I do believe that there are energies and non-physical, and I've been able to communicate with them, and you probably have too, through your intuition, because that's part of what intuition is our ability to receive guidance and messages from non-physical, whether that is our own inner being or our guides and angels or other beings who've crossed over, or the really God, if you will. So I do have that experience, and I do believe that, and I support you to believe that you have that as well. And for me, it also has to do with the connection to the natural world and recognizing that, you know, death is a primary aspect of the natural world. And I remember learning about forests, more about forests. And some of that is from a really great novel called Overstory, which I would highly encourage that you read if you want to know more about trees. But to learn that actually dead trees in the forest, in some ways, trees, once they've fallen and they are dead, so-called dead, are almost more important than the trees that are living in the forest, because the dead trees provide so much nutrients and places to live for all of the other creatures that live in the forest. And so that tree's passing, if you will, is its journey into another stage of its life, where it's giving its own nutrients over to its companions in the forest. Interestingly enough, my brother has chosen to be composted, which I guess is a new thing. And you can do it in Seattle. I don't know if you can do it anywhere else. But you can actually have your body composted, and then your loved ones can get the soil back, and they can put it in their garden if they want, or you can do whatever. I think my sister-in-law is going to have it spread in a park, in local park. But you can be composted, because the truth is we do compost, just like the trees in the forest. Cycle of life. Cycle of life. I know it can be hard to lose our loved ones, especially if we feel that their lives have been taken away from them through accidents or violence, or if they've died too young, especially when children die. I think all of that really pulls at our heartstrings, because it somehow feels like they didn't get to reach their maturity and experience their whole life. But again, if we look at the natural world, we see that many young ones do not make it to maturity. And that life by its nature tends to create many, 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 many little ones compared to what's going to come to maturity. So sometimes if we can re-establish our relationship to the natural world and step outside of religious programming that we have, or cultural programming about death, and we can see ourselves as part of a larger whole, that can really help us. I know it definitely helps me. That and revering those who have passed. This is a picture of my mom with my child when Sam was a baby. It's at my mom's 70th birthday party. I bought some peonies, which are my mother's favorite flower. So I have a little altar for her, and I put pictures of my brother on my altar that I sit at every morning. And so I revere them. I honor them. I love them. I remember them. I celebrate their life, and now celebrate their passing. So my wish for you is that you can find your place with peace as change inevitably brings the death of different things into your life, whether that's the death of a job or a relationship or a person or an animal, to be able to celebrate what was, even as you find acceptance with what is now. All right, that's my video for today. Many blessings. Much love. Bye for now.